I'd like to say hello to everyone out there in the world at the moment. It is a tricky time, and here at Nanda Hobbs we're working really hard to continue to bring our exhibition program and some of the exciting things that we've been working with our artists for over the last 12 to 18 months. So today we're going to officially open Chen exhibition. It was going to be tomorrow night, and usually we kick off the whole conversation around 6:45, but you know what, it's a little bit tricky to get out and about at the moment. Some people are not feeling so comfortable, so we thought we'd start bringing the conversation to you in your own home, in your office, wherever you are in the world. And this is something that we've been excited and thinking about doing for some time now. Now we've got a really good excuse to put our minds to it. The other great thing about it is, if you're finding me really boring, you can go and make a cup of tea, read a book for a little bit, and then come back to the exciting part, which of course, as always, is the artwork. But without further ado, I'd like to discuss Chen opening, or the work on the walls here, and a little bit about Chen. You'll notice that the real world goes on around us, and every now and again you might hear a phone call or indeed a truck go past. Just goes to show that there is signs of life out there, and it is exciting what's possible in this world right now. So to talk about Chen, we've been showing him for a number of years. In fact, over a decade, and he is one of those really exciting painters because he is a very intuitive artist. He works in a very viscous and energetic way, which you can see quite obviously on the walls here. He did grow up in China, and he's been profoundly influenced by traditional ink painting. And one of the things about ink painting and calligraphy work, and indeed Chinese landscape painting, which has existed for over 1,000 years, is the nuances and the way paint lands on a paper, or ink on a paper, is critically important. So when you're using an ink brush and there's a little bit of there's the amount of pressure that the writer or the artist is working on, you'll get this incredible uniqueness about every mark. What Chen has done is bring that to oil painting, and the beautiful thing about his work is that I like to describe them as almost painting with ice cream. You can see in this work here this incredibly viscous and thick oil paint. It has an absolute vibrancy and shine and sheen to it, and the surface, there is a tension between the different colours and aspects of the work, which is quite vital. I've spent a lot of time watching him work in the studio, and it's been really exciting to see what actually happens with the way he plays with both paint and also thinners. So you can see here where he's allowed the paint to thin out, and creating another layer, and some really interesting depth that comes through the work. The other thing about his paintings, and particularly in recent years, is they've become at times quite abstract, but there's always a literal element to them. So he will be picking out things from nature and drawing that into the composition. So this particular work, which references birds and also ladybirds, it is a fascinating way that he can make it all harmonise and come together, and that really comes from someone who's spent many decades working in all sorts of different media and composing works. With Chen's work over the last really the last 10 years, he's been very influenced by nature itself, and this is a really important thing for us to consider, and probably the most important thing. It's certainly on everyone's mind at the moment. In Australia, we've had a succession of issues to do with bushfires, floods, record heat waves, and now, of course, we have this pandemic that is rolling through the world. All of these things really are moments where we can take the time to reflect on what's going on in the world and also our relationship to the natural world. And as a race of people, we've been discussing and talking about it, and we've known about some of these things and the potential for disasters to happen. And now we're in this environment that we are. And it is art's job to really underline that, to telegraph it. And as I said, Chen's been working around this for at least 10 years. And I think his work does show us a way forward. And I'd like to talk a little bit about that now. So Chen lives in Tasmania, in Hobart, and on a daily basis will take himself for a walk up the mountain. Mount Wellington, for those of you who know Hobart, Mount Wellington is an extraordinary, powerful moment in the landscape. And in that environment, you'll hear birds, you'll see animals, the mist rolling in, all of the things that you get in that natural world. Now, you can either paint that or create or write about that in a literal sense, or you can absorb it in a more mythological way, in a more ethereal way, and that's what Chen does. But he has this amazing ability to move things around and to articulate it. So to put it in the way that you might actually write something, he has a vocabulary which is extraordinarily extensive. But he does this in a visual sense, so all the marks that he makes are deliberate, but they have this sort of quirkiness about them as well. And that provides the nuances and provides the conversation that is extremely, as I mentioned before, unique, but it's also exciting. And it's one of those things that allows the audience, you, the viewer, to experience new elements to his work on an ongoing basis. It's one of those things that in 20 or 30 years' time, you'll still be looking at the work and finding new sensations and new depths out of this. So that is one of the things that I'm really excited about him. But his message has been consistently about man's relationship to nature. And as I said, it's not really a literal thing. So you'll find in these paintings, whilst there'll be animals and insects and flora and fauna that may be indigenous to Tasmania, he's also talking about things like leopards and lions and mythological creatures. And he also draws these amazing scenarios and combinations of ideas where you think about Greek and Roman mythology, and then he'll also bring in Eastern mythology and ideas of Taoism and such things. So making the conclusions that whilst we all have our belief systems, there is this connection to the natural world. And that's what this work is really about. It's about our connection to a world that is really clearly giving us an indication that we need to take and make more connection, and also do something about it that is a little bit more sympathetic. Otherwise, we are going to be in more trouble than we are at the moment. So the way we're going to roll our exhibitions, we are working under the guidelines of the Australian government. So openings at the moment, we won't be doing mass exhibition openings for the foreseeable future, although we don't have too many of those planned at the moment. We are open for business. We will be keeping our normal hours. We're here. We're excited to have conversations with you. We are online. We've been a gallery that's had an online presence since we started, which is over 16 years. So we are extremely excited to continue that conversation, and we're excited to really work more in this medium as well. So without any further hesitation, I'd like to thank Chen, who I adore as an artist and as a person, and I think has done some incredible things, not only for art generally, but for cross-cultural relationships between China and Australia, very energetically working with both governments and artists, and has been really at the forefront of progressing exhibitions in the world that are that have happened from New York to China to Hobart to Sydney, and maintains that presence. And we all hope that this situation is a little hiccup on our cultural horizon. But you know what? Out of everything comes opportunity, and if we get to talk directly with you on a day-to-day basis, to me that's a fantastic thing. So Chen, I know you're in Hobart at the moment. Congratulations, what an extraordinary opening body of work in here. If any of you are in Sydney and would like to come in and walk through this show with us, please take the opportunity to do so. Chen, I'd like to congratulate you on once again delivering an exceptional body of work that really is both beautiful and also extraordinarily exciting and absolutely poignantly important to us right now. Thank you very much for tuning in.